Mima's purple quills, once upon a time, nestled deep within the rustling leaves of the green forest, lived three of the very best friends. There was Mima, a little hedgehog, whose quills were a lovely shade of amethyst purple. Dory, a little bird, whose wings were the color of the summer sky, and who loved to sing. And Yudi, a fluffy lamb, with a surprising talent for climbing to the very tops of trees. Every morning, the three friends would meet beneath the sprawling branches of the great tree. They would sing songs with Dory, swim in the nearby lake, and best of all, they would sit in the shade and tell one another wonderful stories. One day, as they sat under the great tree, Yudi began to tell a story. He leaped from branch to branch as he spoke, while Dory accompanied him with a cheerful melody. When Yudi finished and settled onto the soft grass, he noticed that Mima was unusually quiet, her face a perfect picture of sadness. "Mima, what's the matter? You seem so heartbroken," Yudi asked gently. "On my way here today, I met some other hedgehogs," Mima whispered, her voice trembling. "They made fun of me again. They said I wasn't a real hedgehog." And with that, she began to cry. Dory swooped down from her branch. "You are the most beautiful hedgehog I have ever known," she chirped softly. "We love you just the way you are, Mima. Please don't be sad," added Yudi, nudging her gently. But their kind words couldn't mend Mima's heavy heart. Her tiny black eyes were puffy from crying. "I just want to be like the others," she sobbed. "I hate my purple quills. I wish I wasn't like this." Dory tilted her head. "I think I might know of something that could help. I once heard of a place, far from here, a magical garden where all wishes come true. Perhaps we can find a cure for your sadness there." Mima's eyes lit up with a tiny spark of hope. "Let's go then," she said, wiping away her tears. So, the three friends set off on a great, long journey. They walked and walked, over towering mountains and across shimmering seas. At last, they came to a huge garden surrounded by a wooden fence. Inside, flowers of pink, blue, purple, red, and yellow bloomed alongside colors they had never seen before. "This must be the place," Dory said with awe. The three friends pushed open the gate and stepped inside. They looked all around, but they couldn't see anyone. "I think we might be in the wrong place," Yudi said nervously. Just as they were turning to leave, Mima spotted a flower that shone more brightly than all the others. Drawn by its beauty, she stepped closer. Suddenly, the flower stretched its petals towards the sun and spoke. "Who are you, and what are you doing in my garden?" Mima jumped back in fright. We came here to solve a problem," she stammered. "We heard that wishes come true here." The flower looked at the three friends, its gaze soft and wise. "Tell me, what is it that you wish for?" it asked, then added, "But be warned. You may ask for only one thing." Mima took a deep breath. "I want to be like the other hedgehogs," she declared, pointing to her purple quills. The flower looked at Mima, then at her beautiful quills. A moment of silence passed, and then a brilliant light filled the sky. In a flash, Mima found herself alone in the forest. Confused, she looked into a puddle of water and gasped. "My quills!" she shouted with joy. Her reflection showed a hedgehog with plain, brown quills, just like all the others. She was so overjoyed that she didn't even notice her friends were gone. Happily, she trotted through the forest until she saw the group of hedgehogs from before. She ran to them, introduced herself, and they let her join their group. It was only later that Mima thought to look for Dory and Yudi to share her good news. She searched every tree and looked all along the lake, but they were nowhere to be found. It was as if they had vanished. Though Mima missed her friends, the joy of being normal was so overwhelming that she soon gave up her search and returned to the other hedgehogs. But as time went on, Mima realized something was wrong. The other hedgehogs didn't listen to each other. They were always bickering and finding excuses to argue. Day by day, Mima felt more and more lonely and unhappy. "Oh, I wish Dory and Judy were here," she thought to herself one evening. "I was so happy with them. They loved me for who I was." In a desperate whisper, she called out, "Flower, flower, please hear me. Send me back to my friends." But there was no reply. As she walked, crying softly, she came across the same puddle as before. This time, when she looked at her reflection, she saw a perfectly ordinary hedgehog who looked miserable and utterly alone. "Flower, flower, please hear my voice," she cried out. "I regret my wish. Please give me back my purple quills. I miss my friends, I miss my quills, I miss my old life. Please, flower, ... double quotes. Suddenly, a dazzling light surrounded her. Mima squeezed her eyes shut. When she opened them again, she was in her own warm, cozy bed. She leaped up and ran to the mirror. There, looking back at her, was a happy little hedgehog with beautiful, shining purple quills. Not knowing if it had been a dream or real, Mima ran outside towards their meeting spot. On the way, she passed the same group of hedgehogs. As expected, they began to tease her. But this time, Mima didn't feel sad at all. She now knew her purple quills didn't make her strange. They made her special. And she also knew that those hedgehogs were lonely and unhappy on the inside. So, she simply smiled at them and continued on her way. In the distance, she saw the great tree and quickened her pace. And there they were, at the top of the tree, and Dory perched on a branch beside him. "You will not believe the dream I just had," Mima shouted joyfully. Dory, who had been singing, did a graceful flip in the air. "Then you must tell us all about it," she sang. And as Mima began to tell the tale of her incredible dream, the three friends sat together, happy and whole, under the shade of the great tree,